Hey, Shalom, Straitway Ministries, fellow brothers and sisters, and saints of the Most High scattered abroad. Blessings to you this day. This is Elder Becker. I'm doing this video today because today is an important day for me. Today marks exactly 17 years that I've been with Straitway Community. I actually lived on the grounds here at Straitway Communities. And it's November 17th, the year 2017. So I was bestowed the privilege and the honor 17 years ago to be asked to join the fellowship here, join the community at Straitway. So that would have been November 17th, the year 2000. And the reason I really felt, I've been meditating, thinking about it. I mean, I've had 16 years go by and never had a, it really impressed upon me to do a video before, or even make some, acknowledge some type of record of my years here. But this year it did. So this last week I've been really reflecting on a lot of things. And the thing that really stands out to me is not so much presently where we are today, because as a community we've never had this much peace and good fellowship and purity at any one time in the almost 19 years of the history of this community, including my 17. But this video is more so for those that are having the same desire, and there are many, to live in this manner, to become a part of a community. And so my experiences are going to be kind of a warning to those that are coming or have a desire based on those that have left over the course of 17 years. Actually been living on these grounds and are no longer with us here in person, in the physical, right here, right now. To give a quick testimony, not to go too in depth, but back in the years, 97, 98, when the Most High finally got a hold of my hard head and led me to salvation, hallelujah, I called on the name of Jesus and started my journey, all right? And over that course of up until the year 2000, I had met other people in Minnesota that were at that time affiliated with a ministry that we used to be a part of in the early days. And it was through that ministry that I learned about more of the truth of what it means to be an Israelite, to keep the Sabbath, the laws holy, the feast days, in my infancy stage. But I do remember reading in the book of Acts, chapter 2, 4, and 5, because I wasn't one that was into the Bible before that, but as soon as the Most High opened my heart, I couldn't stay out of it. I mean, it's His Word. But I read in there how after Yeshua, after Jesus ascended back up into glory in Acts chapter 1, how it was written that all that were together believed and had all things common. And I started reflecting on that. I mean, that was Yah's program. All you have to do is go back and look at the history of Israel. He has always intended for His people to be together. So what other better solution or perfect idea than to sell all your goods, come together and live on a piece of common ground, be in unity and oneness and fellowship. So I had a desire for this. And Straitway then was, again, like I said earlier, part of a former ministry that we were affiliated with a long time ago. And the man that was operating, or the headship of that ministry at that time, he actually had active work in communities, and I had a privilege to actually go into these communities, visiting these communities, and it was through that I met up with Pastor Dowell in a meeting in Louisville. I think that was in '99, possibly, but at that time there was other saints from Minnesota that were already looking to come to communities as well. And so they had already met Pastor Dowell. And the reason I bring this up is, not only to show the separation that Straitway came into its own being back then, its own entity as Straitway Ministries, but more importantly to bring this up because in that former ministry there was a different spirit that Pastor Dowell always had, always carried. There was a different way that he conducted himself, that he stood for the biblical principles and truths like nobody else in the entire ministry, even the one that was the head over it. He displayed a greater sense of integrity and discipline, and even he was still in his infancy stages as far as being a pastor. But you could clearly see the difference spiritually. So the people I knew from Minnesota were attracted to what it was, that real spirit of truth working in Pastor Dowell. So by them, I got to meet Pastor Dowell, and that was my first meeting in Louisville. But not to get too long-winded here, that man that used to be the head of that former ministry, he knew the spirit of man. He knew the humanity. Excuse me. He did know it. The man was well versed in, and what he did is to help weed out these people that actually had this. They said in their heart they want to be part of a community, but he could tell their integrity wasn't there, the discipline, their selflessness. There was just something about them that he could recognize. So he put out this proclamation. He said, "You really want to become part of a ministry? Well, you go and sell all you got and give it to me, lay it in my lap, all right? And we'll see what happens." It wasn't even a promise there. But I knew this is something that I had to do. I just had to witness that a community living set apart. I didn't know that much about it by what I seen. I recognized through my own tours of the communities, at least two of them, that it was a very in fact, three of them, it was actually a very disciplined type of lifestyle. Selfless, it was hard work, but it was still right. In the spirit, something was still right about it. So he made that proclamation. So what I did is I liquidated all my assets I had at that time, everything that I had put back for my future and the future of then my family then. And that it came up to something like $17,000. And I took and I sent it to him. And that wasn't even a promise or a guarantee that I would get into a community, but I was that bound. My desire was that overwhelming, knowing that this is what the Father wanted for His people. I just wanted to do what He had intended for His people to do. So I did that. I committed to it. And during the course of the year 1999, I started arranging for work visits going out to Straitway. So I come down to the community down here. I think I did it on 3 or 4 different occasions. Would spend 2 or 3 days. Mind you, I had a family still up in Minnesota. My wife had divorced me already, but I still had my 2 children, and I still had a good relationship with them. They were what, 12 and 13 back then, in the year 2000. But I still had a commitment. I still knew this was right. I read the Bible. I understood the cost, at least superficially understood the cost. Okay, until it really hits home. But anyway, in October of the year 2000, I received a personal letter from Pastor Dowell saying, "Brother Becker, you're welcome to come be a part of the community here. Get your affairs in orders, and we'll see you as soon as possible." And so that's when the real thing hit. Finally, this reality's in front of me. I get to be part of a community. Man, it's just like, wow. Even today, I can still feel it. But I had to face something there. Right at back in Minnesota, as I had to look my 2 children in the eye and say, "Look, I'll tell you, I love y'all. I really do, immensely. And you may not fully understand and grasp this, knowing full well what the Bible said, that unless a man forsake all that he has, he cannot be my disciple or be my disciplined one." Understanding the words, but also understanding also in regards to that the promises that the Bible guarantees us. And so I looked at him. I said, "Well, I'm moving on. I love y'all. This is going to be difficult for everybody, but I got to believe the Messiah. This door has been opened up to me, and I'm not going to disregard it. Not in a chance, not in a lifetime." So I packed up everything I had in my pickup and a trailer, and off I went. And so in the morning of November 17th, the year 2000, I arrived at Straitway Community, and I've been here ever since. Thank you, Father. It's by your mercy, grace, and your privilege that, or the privilege you bestowed upon me, that I am still here. Hallelujah. But the reason again for this video is the context of the 17 years, the experiences that I've seen with people that have left, not people that are still here. And I want to share that to be like a warning for those that are intending to come this way and those that are living this way right now, especially those that are new to this. Is that out of the 17 years, 74 people have actually had the privilege and the honor of live on this very grounds. All right, right here. And out of the 74, 2 are still active with the ministry, and they're both brothers. And one is living in Columbia, South America. That's our dear brother Juan, faithful still, faithful down there, holding up the banner, holding up the Straitway banner in the righteousness of the Most High, striving still. So he's still considered part of us, even though he doesn't live on the ground. And the other brother as well. You know, that's not an issue I'm going to get into. But what it leaves us with was 72 people that are no longer connected with the ministry. They may be in name, but actively, no, they're not, you know. And after reflecting on this for a while, you know, really examining this, there was always common threads for all those that had left. And let me start here first. When they got here, they all had a testimony, every single one of them. Man, we are thankful. This is the right way. We know this is the Father. This is the voice of truth. You know, it's what we need to get in the kingdom. Iron is sharpened iron. And man, we are thankful to be here. You can hear their testimonies. They exist today. They're on a lot of our old Sabbath teachings where we used to do a lot of testimony lines. They are definitely on our Straitway videos that we've had over the course of the last 5, 6, 7 years that are out there all over YouTube, you know, through all the different channels. They also are on social media. You can still see people have postings about, you know, this is their Straitway family, and you know, I thank the Father for bringing me here, bringing me this way, and they were genuinely, but they didn't. Their own hearts, they didn't measure their own hearts. They didn't sit down and measure the cost, like we were warned to do, like Yeshua actually told us against. But they came here and they had the privilege. What they failed to understand is that, and I'll get to what left them out of here, is that when they came here, the key thing that they forgot is that the Father brought him here to be servants for his kingdom. They became servants to their fellow brothers and sisters. The one thing that we've been called to do is to be servants one to another in the fear of the Most High. And they left off, they departed from this community, from these grounds, after hearing countless preaching and teaching and going through deliverance and casting out the devils and seeing the miracles. Turning from their testimony, turning from the words of the Most High, the words that he had written down in a book for us to be admonished by, to be warned about. And they went back out in the world, became servants to men, became servants to the heathen, pagan, Gentile nations again, to serve their gods. And in the day of accountability, in the day when they stand before Messiah, you think they're going to escape that judgment? Not a chance, because it is an honor and a privilege. Does it meet with its trials and tribulations? Yeah, it's supposed to. The Father's going to prove us, test us, and try us no matter where we're at. And like Pastor Dowell's reflected over many times over the years, he would not be where he's at or know what he does know, especially about himself and humanity, if it wasn't for a community. That's the beauty of it. The Father brings you here to help you recognize what's in you and what doesn't need to be there and what needs to be increased. All right? And Straitway is probably one of the best examples of what that means, to increase in talents, to grow in the grace and in the knowledge, continually surrounded by brothers and sisters, iron and sharpening irons, being removed from the world as much as we possibly can, having that set-apart spirit, that set-apart lifestyle. Yeah, it is a privilege and an honor. And discount it and despise it and to turn from it, it had been better for them to have never known the way. But out of the 72 people that no longer are affiliated with the ministry or really recognized as part of Straitway, some were so defiled and so nasty, all you got to go on social media and look at their pages. They have been totally given back over to the vomit. And they show it. At least the Bible said, Jesus said, I would that you be warm or hot or cold, not lukewarm. Well, at least I'll give them thumbs up for this. They went totally cold. I mean, they're not trying to deceive anything. It's those that are still in the lukewarm state, trying to pretend that they're still hot, are getting even more devastated in the day of judgment. But out of the 72, first of all, the one thing they did notice out of the 72 is these people were physically lazy. They got wore out. They didn't understand the dedication and the devotion it is, not losing the vision of what it meant to get into the kingdom, looking at present day distresses. And they acted on them rather than keeping their hope in the Word, not growing weary in well-doing. So they were lazy, and physically means they were lazy spiritually. Of course, the offense, woe unto them by whom the offense comes. Yeah, they got offended. Yahweh would test, try, and prove them. They would see a wicked, evil way. They would, compare themselves amongst themselves, all the stuff we're warned not to do. And they took an offense. They had the evil eye. I don't like the way this man's doing this. I don't want to prove the way Pastor Dowell's handling this situation. Well, damn it, if somebody, this is part of the growing process, you bunch of crybabies. What in the world, people get through stuff. Everybody has a way to grow, a pace to grow, a time to move and grow. But if their heart is still right and devoted, anyway, that's what happens with shallow-minded people, weak in the faith. And they also left because they had too many soul ties with their past. They had too tight a connection with their natural family. How many times I've seen over the years where we had people living here, their natural family want to come and see them, and under the radar all the time that at first they present themselves, oh, we're with you, we support you 100%, we don't understand it, but hey, we trust what you're doing, and then they'd sneak back in slowly, and they'd start planting these seeds, and man, you doing all right, and boy, we sure miss you, and sure could wish you'd come back up and see us once. Mom really misses you, Dad really misses you, and man, why are you excluding yourself from the family, your blood family, and all these soul ties would creep in, and all of a sudden, pluck, they'd be gone, all right? The devil would show them how bad it was and how terrible it was, and how oppressive it was, and man, they understood that comfort of that flesh. The Bible warns us about that going back to Egypt, don't it? They forget the testimony of Moses, who chose rather to suffer affliction with the people of Yah than to go back and choose the pleasures of sin for anyone. And it's only a season, and then you go on to meet your Maker. But out of them three things, I think them were the primary things. Sure, there was other things entering in. You had the viper and all the other things. But out of them 72, yeah. And what they forgot is that in this kingdom, everybody's replaceable. You're not an island to yourself. Don't ever lift yourself up that high to think you're that important that you can't be replaced. Yah can replace you with any. There's how many billions of people on this planet? And to think that you're that high and lofty and mighty. I've seen people that used to live here that would boast, man. They'd sit there, they didn't have a stinking ounce of authority, and they'd tell you how to do it all day long. And then after they got the boot, or they left, or they had that devilish spirit and they separated themselves. Yeah, you watch their manner of lifestyle. They ain't even got a pot to piss in or a window, but they had all the answers when they were here. Again, that was the Father. A few other things I got written down here. I know I don't want this video to be lengthy, but it's amazing. We have a dear brother here, and I really love him to death. And to the death, I mean that literally. That's my brother Brett. And before Brother Brett even came into Straitway Ministries, the Father gave him a vision, and showed him in this vision. I'm just breaking it down real short. You'd have to ask Brett about the whole thing, but in the vision he showed Brett United States and one little tiny speck of green, and all around that was blackened. It was dark. It was like burnt, if I remember how Brett described it. But what's important to remember is that speck of green, and Brett didn't, and the darkness could have been a literal, physically something burned. But to me, more importantly, always represented that gross darkness upon the rest. And this here was the place of refuge and safety. All right, this is the hub, the stem. And when Brett finally came, the Most High brought him to the knowledge of the truth, brought him to salvation. All of a sudden, Brett's dream was realized. Pastor, and one of his few visions that he's had, the Father, to briefly just, not to take the entire of his vision, but the two messengers that Pastor saw in the vision told him to stay where you're at. What a warning, man. Don't let nothing remove you. You stay. Because what these people all forget, these 72, is the vision for the future. That this was perfecting of our souls right here at this place. Constant preaching, being, personal life with the man of Yah right here. And the pastor's always said the reason he brings you here, the Father brings you here, is because you're hard-headed. And you got a stubborn way that the Father's trying to break, so he can use it. You can be stubborn for the kingdom. But man, I got so many digressions going in my mind. That's why I had to write it down a little bit. But, whew, boy. But that's pretty much the context. Is they let the cares of this world, the cares of other things entering in, take them out. The word became a despisement, and to actually go back there and think that you're still serving the Most High. Because when you get back out, you're going to feel good about yourself. You can be comfortable. It's going to be like all this pressure is off of you. And it's because I've experienced a lot of people that have left and actually ran into them, I've actually removed people from here, drove them to a location, and there'd be other people, former people that used to live here waiting for them. They'd all be happy, clapping. It's like, oh, we're free from the oppression. Now look at their life. And you think that when you leave that nice, comfy, soft feel, then the devil's going to move in, boy. He's going to start tearing up your world, worse and worse and worse. And to think that you're that strong when you're in the fellowship with the saints, and to go back out there and you're going to stand against the wiles of the devil, his devices. You don't think he's going to break you down, especially after you get into spiritual warfare? Man, you can forget that. He's going to make you look like a fool. Something pops in my mind as I'm doing this. I need to say this because during probably the mid-2000s here, I don't remember exactly what year, they kind of blend in a lot of times. But one of my more profound experiences here, that I basically was the only working brother on the land, through people that either got the boot or left on their own, or because we just had some older brothers and sisters here that really couldn't bear the workload. It came the situation where I was the one basically here. I was the only one here every day, the only brother to call on, right? And I was going nonstop. But some days it just got overwhelming, And I remember one particular day, it was in the fall, and I was up at the tabernacle. We were having pump problems up there. So I went up there, addressed that problem, and the week had been a long one. This was like on a 5th day, and it was just one thing after another. This was wearing on me, man. I could feel my spirit starting to murmur and complain. It's like, man, where's all the laborers? Why is nobody else helping me? I can't take this, I got things I want to kick back and relax, and it's everything was entering in my head, challenged me. You ain't got your time with the Father like you did, and so we had a little green mule, and I jumped. I had to go back down to the shop and get some tools that I forgot. So halfway down the hills, I'm going on in my spirit. We have we call it the second corner as we're coming down the hill, and there's a big old cottonwood tree there, and right there, the Father said, "In my spirit is soundly as," and so I know where it come from. There was no doubt who was speaking to me. He said, "You are altogether an unprofitable servant." Man, I'll tell you what, did that get a hold of me? That one shook me up, and is still to this day has grasped me. And I've been doing that which is my duty to do. And from that day forward, I had to rethink the way I was doing things. What do I have to do to actually be profitable in Israel? Because if I'm just doing that which is required, which is commanded me, and I'm unprofitable, I got to change the way I think. And that's what it takes when you get on this type of venture, when you get into a community setting. You have to excel. You can't go the 1 mile anymore. You have to go 2. Obviously right now I can't demonstrate that anymore. I got physical limitations, and the Father's moved me into other areas that I need to take care of, and I thank Him for it. And has brought in faithful brethren to help take the load off of me, and I'm thankful for that too. Do I deal with spirits of trying to come in, of envy, jealousy? Haven't got it. Yeah, still to this day, because every time you deal with something new in your life, there's going to be a new set of challenges. It's just the way it is to be a part of the kingdom. But again, man, if don't grow weary in well doing, for in due time you shall reap. Again, they got so many digressions. I don't want to make this like a forever testimony, but this is just and hey, I'm speaking to myself too. This is another testimony, so I have to stand on my own words to the Most High. I know there's more tests coming, but this world ain't getting any better. Do you understand, Israel? It's not getting any better. The Father is raising the scattered up, bringing them together, getting them together, getting them into unity. For what reason? I mean, come on, ask yourself why. It isn't just to be part of it. He's trying to preserve us from the future. Now we're in the wilderness now, but when times really get bad, you're going to be so thankful for those that remained, those that fought the good fight of faith, didn't let the devil throw a snare in front of them and take them out. Man, in that day, when the shit hits the fan, Oh boy. And then when the king comes to know you've been faithful till the end, come on. You can lay the crowns down at his feet. Have a testimony of all the good things he done for you. Man, don't ever lose focus of the vision. You can't. If you do, you're going to perish. But that's where my heart is settled. And again, I understand that we're going to have seasons. My last 6 months here at this community has probably been one of the most trying times since I've ever been here. I don't have to go into a lot of details. Some people know about my situation. Never had to deal with that before. Boy, it was something. It really was. And you talk about a whole new level of spirits coming in and challenging you. Ooh, buddy, let me tell you. Kind of like the same it was when I first moved here, when I had to look at my children in the eye and say I may never see you again. But this one was a whole lot more. But hey, I thank the Father for the trials and tribulations. I got to give him all the credit. He brought me through this too. And I thank my family for being there to support me. You know, they're not going to comfort you in a wrong kind of way, but they're going to send you comfort in their words, you know, if you can hear them. But anyway, this video is getting pretty lengthy. I really hope that I was able to impart some type of wisdom, knowledge, even in this short video here, to those that are coming in, whose desire, and it should be your desire to be part of a community, to live and get your spirits right so you can do this work. It really should be, because the evil day is approaching. And honestly, it's not a selfish thing to want to preserve yourself, because the Bible says, even though Noah, Job, and Daniel were in it, they yet saved them own selves by their own righteousness. All right? They had a self-preservation trigger in there. They were going to serve the Most High with gladness and joy, and take whatever came their way, just like Paul, suffer through the afflictions and count it all joy in the end, and be able to lay down the crowns at the Messiah's feet. Hey, but with that, Israel, I appreciate your time. Again, I hope this video was some type of edification. Hey, and you keep plowing hope, and give no place to the devil. And if you do repent, turn from your sin, and continue on, because there's nothing on this earth that can compare what the Father has promised for those that endure to the end. All right? Hey, stay the very elect. All right? Glory to the King. Shalom. You have a good day.